Right. Hey guys, just so happy to be back in my studio. Right, well, I'm just going to check that's recording. Is it recording? Is it recording? Is it recording? You bet it's damn well recording. Today, we are going to talk about the Cave of Lost Children. I mean, how good is that? There is a cave in Japan where there are the ghosts of dead children. It is the creepiest story. Hey, it's an ancient mystery. We cover ancient mysteries. That's what we do here on the Dr. Charles Show with yours truly. That's right, guys. Now, in addition, after that, we're going to talk about Brad Steiger. Brad Steiger, brilliant ancient mysteries author. He just died about 2 weeks ago. I believe he was in his 90s. He wrote over 100 books. Just an amazing guy, an amazing thinker. I've got some of his books here. Totem Animals, Psychic Powers, and Star People. Just incredible. We'll talk a bit about that afterwards, a bit of a tribute. Guys, tune in right now. We are going to watch a little segment about the Cave of Lost Children. Let's check this one out.
Well, this is really interesting. This is the strangest ancient mystery that you've never heard of. It's written by a man called Lafcadio Hearn. You may have heard of him. His house is preserved in New Orleans, and he has written a book called Glimpses of an Unfamiliar Japan, which is a 19th century book. You can go to it on Project Gutenberg, and he wrote all about Japanese ghost stories. He traveled Japan extensively in the 19th century. Just a fascinating man and a fascinating story. This is about the Cave of the Children's Ghosts. And he writes that it is forbidden to go to Kaka, which appears to be an island, if there is wind enough to move 3 hairs. And this is presumably to stop being shipwrecked or something. He takes a road across a jungle to a town called Mitsuura, which is itself isolated and surrounded by high cliffs of dark, iron-coloured, gothic edifices on these cliffs which surround the town, with only a thin stretch of beach before it, and thousands of boats, or the skeletons of boats. And he travels from there to Kaka with his friend Kurumaya, and they explore caves, these ancient caves that no one wants to go to. And one of them is the Cave of the Children. So they go into this cave, and as their eyes adjust, they start to see that there are thousands upon thousands of little piles of stones which have been assembled. And his Kurumaya says to him, "This is the work of the children." And he says, "What children? What are you talking about? Children?" And yes, the ghosts of dead children. They come in from the sea at night time, and they build these little structures. And so they're traveling along this cave, and they accidentally they kick over a few of the structures. They kick over about 2 structures. And Kurumaya says to Lafcadio, she says, "We have to rebuild them now, but we have to rebuild twice as much as before, so the children are not offended." So they rebuild 4 structures, and they continue on, and the whole cave is just mysterious, strange, with weird lights, strange archways. It's sacred to both the Shinto and also the Buddhist faith. And his Kurumaya says to him, "This cave is you can at night time you can hear the children laughing, because this is where the children this is where the ghosts of all the children end up. They all end up in this cave. Every dead child ends up here, and the whole cave it has a fountain there called the Fountain of Jizo, a fountain of milk at which the souls of dead living children drink, and sometimes it flows more swiftly, sometimes more slowly, but never ceases. And mothers suffering from a lack of milk actually go to this cave, and they pray that the milk will be given to them, and that their prayer is heard. And And I mean, how extraordinary is that? And the cave also seems full of voices, as if invisible beings were holding a tumultuous converse. Now, later on, they leave the cave, they leave that place, and he goes back into town. He stays at a hotel, and these Japanese houses, they're made of paper. And on a hot summer day or night, they just take the walls down. So he goes into his room, there's no walls, and the whole town is sitting around, just staring at him, not saying anything, just staring at him. Well, that's the story of the Cave of the Lost Children in Japan.
Oh, whoa. Guys, that was scary. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep in this house tonight after watching that segment. Just unbelievable. Anyway, hey, we've got something new here, some new technology, so I can sound more like a radio announcer rather than an echo around the room. It was over there before, but now it's over here. I mean, how good is that? How good is it? It's a condenser microphone. How good is it? It's plugged right into my camera. There's a big long cable going up all the way, squiggling around across the room. Just brilliant, 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 brilliant. Let's zoom into it as well so we can see how good this is. Yep, that's definitely a microphone, all right, we've established that. Now, it's time to talk about Brad Steiger. Brad Steiger, you were brilliant, you were amazing, you died 2 weeks ago, but you wrote some brilliant books, over 100 books. Just a brilliant mind, totally underestimated, ignored by the media. People have forgotten who he is, people don't read so many books anymore. I have to say, your books are the best. Now, I've got a few here. 2 of them I've read, one I haven't read. This one about animal totems. The transformative power of your personal animal totem. I mean, how good is this, guys? By Brad Steiger. Just brilliant. I haven't read that one yet. I read this one back in 2010. The Psychic Feats of Olaf Johnson. Have you heard of Olaf Johnson? Me neither. I never heard of the guy until I read this. After I finished reading it, I never heard of him again. But Brad Steiger interviewed Olaf Johnson, and this guy, this is how I learned to be psychic, basically by reading this book. It's just brilliant. So he says basically you have to relax the mind, then you can get imagery. And I do this with employ yoga with tarot as well. It works beautifully, and people say, "Oh, that's amazing!" You know, because people you can pick up images because we are energy, right? And the universe is a mirror. Tarot is another kind of mirror. But anyway, he doesn't really go into tarot, but he talks about psychic feats. And this Olaf Johnson, he was psychic. He was extremely psychic. He relaxed his mind. He let things flow in. And it's just the same with I lost my train of thought, but that doesn't matter. There are descriptions in this book, predictions of the future, and I would like to get into a few of those. Now, this is just unbelievable. So he basically says, so he's penetrated the Iron Curtain using telepathy. So therefore, he knows the Russians are experimenting with physics behind the Iron Curtain, concentrating on beaming communist propaganda to us via telepathy. I mean, just unbelievable. And he even says they've developed an extensive system of telepathic individuals who spend nearly all their waking moments directing propaganda at our national leaders. I mean, how amazing is that? If I concentrate long enough, I can make anyone reverse his normal thought patterns. Remember the political speaker I made orate against himself when I was in Australia? Damn, that sounds amazing. I've sent my own thoughts to Russia, and these are the impressions I've received. I mean, just incredible stuff, incredible stuff. And he says, for example, he says that Nixon will be defeated. He says Nixon, this is his prediction of the future. So this is a book from the 60s. A Democrat in the White House in 1972, Nixon may not receive the nomination from his own party, but even if he should be chosen to run, he will be defeated. I seem to view Senator Edward Muskie as the next president of the United States. Now, obviously that didn't come to fruition. But Nixon kind of was defeated. He kind of did pick up something really interesting about that. He picked up something about with cars as well. He said, for example, he also says evidence of previous life on the moon. Our moon stations will discover evidence that Homo sapiens has not been the first to utilize our satellite as a base. Super intelligent creatures from another galaxy have employed the moon in eons past in much the same manner that we will use the satellite in eons to come. But here we go. Electric cars perfected, but soon no private autos in the cities. And when I read this in 2010, it didn't make any sense. Now it makes sense. Within the next few years, engineers will have perfected an efficient and economically electrically powered automobile. The internal combustion motor will be outlawed in all major cities by 1980. Within another decade or less, legislation will eliminate the private automobile in all major cities, and only medical and law enforcement personnel will use compact electrically powered cars. By the year 2000, the automobile as we know it will have virtually disappeared from use. Wow, it sounds to me like he's describing autonomous vehicles, which you'll be able to dial them up like an Uber. It'll pop into your driveway, you'll hop in, it'll recognize you're in the car, and then it'll pop off, and then it'll drop you off, and it'll go somewhere else to help someone else out. This seems to be what's being described. Anyway, good book. Gods of Aquarius. He wrote about star twins. This is how I learned about star twins. So, for example, or astral twins. So you have someone born on this part of the globe, someone born on this part of the globe at the same time, and this kind of proves astrology. We are all energy, and they're born to different families, yet they have parallel lives. They're born at the same time. They have the same careers, marry similar people, do similar things. Just unbelievable stuff. And people discover that they have this twin. And when someone gets, if one of them dies, the other one dies. It's this weird stuff. And there's so many strange ideas in this book, for example. And this guy's written over 100 books, but he's such a good thinker. So he says, abduction, alien abduction is a form of mind manipulation. The Virgin Mary is, as it appears to some people, is a type of alien, a type of abduction experience. I think he is, because he says the sacred feminine is actually an interstellar force. This book is about that. He says that Amerindians, that is native Indians, suggest spirits becoming active, are becoming active in man to help mankind survive the coming purification of the planet. I mean, how weird is that? He says there's a phenomenon in Egypt where a statue reaches out and grabs you. So to me that sounds a bit like it's possessed by ectoplasm. Perhaps that's why the Egyptians left statues in their tombs, because, well, for starters, they did that to replace the body. In case something happened to the body, the statue would go to the afterlife instead. Just so much interesting stuff. Also, he talks about star ladies. Star ladies or star maidens are really interesting. You might know one. I knew one. Boy, stay away, stay away. But these are basically a type of a woman. They're usually a blonde. They're very beautiful, and they have a thing where ideas from the universe are flowing into their heads endlessly all the time. So they just space out because all these ideas are flowing in, and they're extremely creative, extremely smart, and they have alien abduction experiences all the damn time, all the damn time. As younger girls, also they might have experienced a poltergeist phenomenon around them. So these are star maidens. They might be the same phenomenon as the Rh negative phenomena. I'm not sure about that. The one that I knew, very beautiful. No guy could handle it. Just stay away. I don't even want to think about that anymore. Yeah, great book, great book. His books are kind of. They don't flow very well. His writing style is not the best, a bit like Zachariah Sitchin, a bit hard to plod through. You have to kind of push yourself, but well worth it because of the information they contain. And I've got a book too. I mean, how good is this? Confessions of the Gods, Nuclear War of Anunnaki vs. Nephilim. And guess what? I've still got copies. I can autograph it and send it to you anywhere in the world for 36 bucks. You know, anywhere in the world. Hey, Antarctica, no problem. Hey, Iceland, Greenland, it doesn't matter, no problem, I'll send it to you. Anywhere in the world, 36 bucks, how good is that? Also 21 bucks on Amazon, or 3 bucks on Amazon for the Kindle version. I mean, you can't get any better than that. So guys, thanks for watching the Dr. Charles Show. I really appreciate it. I hope that hasn't come out distorted. If it has, this is the second time I've done this damn segment, because it has. So guys, I want to thank you for watching, and cheers. Bye-bye. Showing up on this, it could be too quiet, but we're going to do it anyway. Okay, that needs to be higher. Okay, that needs to be higher. Okay, testing, 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 testing.